These days, with all this snow and freezing cold, I rarely go out to walk. But sometimes coming out, I find myself walking much more slowly than usual. Every step feels calculated. Sometimes I feel like I am in a slow motion movie scene, trying not to sleep and embarrass myself in front of others. And while walking, I keep noticing all this salt spread everywhere, on the roads, on the sidewalk, and even on the church steps. At first, I complain like everyone else. It is messy, it ruins our shoes, it does not look nice. But then I realized something very simple. Without that salt, none of us would even make it safely to church or to anywhere else these days. And then I open today's gospel, and Jesus says very calmly and directly, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." Not you should become, not try harder to be, but Jesus says, "You are." That already tells us something important. Jesus is trusting us more than we trust ourselves. Dear friends, the gospel today comes from the Sermon on the Mount, and as we know, Jesus is speaking to the ordinary people, fishermen, workers, families, not to religious elites, not to scholars, not to celebrities. And to these very ordinary people, Jesus is saying something extraordinary. You are essential for the world to survive and to see clearly. You know what is salt? And so let us talk about salt first. Salt is small. Nobody sits at the dining table and says, "Wow, what an amazing salt." And yet, when it is missing, everyone notices. Food without salt is bland. It does not nourish the same way. In Jesus' time, salt was even more important than today. They were not having a refrigerator like we are having now. And they used salt to preserve food from spoiling. It kept life going. And now, in our winter reality, salt has another role. I did not know how salt is used to melt ice until I came to Ohio. It removes obstacles, it clears the way so people don't fall and hurt themselves. That is exactly what Jesus is calling us to do, calling us to be. Not loud, not dramatic, not perfect, but present, faithful, and effective. Dear friends, we are called to be salt in a world that is often frozen. Frozen by anger, frozen by fear, frozen by loneliness, bitterness, addiction, and frozen by broken relationships. Sometimes people don't need sermons first. They need someone who makes the road less slippery. Someone who makes it possible to walk again. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, every time you forgive instead of holding grudges, every time you listen instead of judging, every time you help someone quietly without recognition, you are being salt. You are melting ice, and you are clearing a path to the Lord. But Jesus gives us a warning too. If salt loses its taste, it is no longer good for anything. Salt that stays in the box unused helps no one. Faith that stays private, comfortable, and hidden loses its power. And then Jesus moves to the second image. Jesus says, "You are the light of the world." And immediately he adds, "A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Light by its very nature wants to shine. You don't turn on a lamp and then cover it. That would be pointless." Dear friends, Jesus is the true light of the world. We don't produce the light ourselves. We received it from Jesus, the light. Every time we receive Jesus, especially in the Eucharist and sacraments, his light enters us. And whether we like it or not, it wants to shine through us. Just recently, I was scrolling through social media, like many of you do, probably wasting time. I came across a clip of a very famous country artist, Jelly Roll, accepting multi-Grammy awards. Then in front of cameras, reporters, and millions of viewers, he spoke openly about Jesus and about how his life had changed. No preaching, no arguments, just simple, honest witness. This is who saved me. This is where my hope comes from. And he said, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. And I stopped scrolling because it made me uncomfortable in a good way. I thought to myself, how often do people with much less spiritual nourishment than us speak so boldly about Jesus? Many public figures or celebrities these days, those courageously talk about their faith, are Christians, but not always Catholics. And here we are, Catholics, blessed with the Eucharist, reconciliation, the sacraments, the fullness of faith, and sometimes we are silent. Dear friends, we are very serious about our own salvation, and that is good. Through our sacramental life, we make sure of our own salvation. But sometimes we are very serious about only of our own salvation. Today in the Gospel, Jesus did not say, "You are the salt of your own soul." He did not say, "You are the light of your private life." He said, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." In other words, looking at our parish mission statement, I would say we are called not only to discipleship, but disciple makers. In the first reading, Prophet Isaiah makes it very clear. When we share bread with the hungry, when we care for the poor and the afflicted, then our light will rise in darkness. Faith is never meant to stop with us. And St. Paul reminds us today that this does not happen through clever speeches or strong personalities, but through the quiet power of God working in our weakness. Dear friends, this is not about offending anyone, converting people by force, or standing on street corners shouting Bible verses. This is about responsibility. We have received much, therefore much is expected of us. Your kindness may be the only gospel someone reads. Your patience may be the only proof of God's mercy someone experiences, your courage to leave your faith may be the light that helps someone else find their way home. So today, let us ask ourselves gently, not with guilt, but with the honesty, am I salt that melts the ice, or salt that stays in the container? Am I light that shines or light that stays covered? May the Lord help us live our faith not only for ourselves, but for the world that desperately needs flavor, warmth, and light. And may others, seeing our lives, give glory not to us, but to our Father in heaven. Amen.